Hey, what is up guys? This is Josh the Gamer here, coming at you with a brand new Quorum tutorial. So in this Quorum tutorial, we're going to be learning something really fun. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning loops. Now, what is a loop? A loop is pretty much a way for a programmer to execute repetitive tasks over and over and over and over again without having to write the same code multiple times to do the same thing. Now, there are three different types of loops in Quorum. There is the repeat loop, there's the repeat while loop, and then there's the repeat until loop. Now, I will say the repeat loop is very simple, and can, if you look at it a certain way, it can have ties to what is known as the for loop, to other in other programming languages. The repeat while loop has ties to the while loop in other languages. And the repeat until loop has ties to the for loop from other programming languages. However, Quorum just makes those a lot easier to understand. And be able to see, oh, okay, this is what this does. So, let's go ahead and start, shall we? Let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and type in the word repeat. So repeat, now the word turns blue. However, I'm not sure what the accessible built-in Sodbean's speech does for that, but if you typed in repeat correctly, it should be right. Now what we want to do is how many times we want it to repeat. So let's say we want it to repeat 5 times. So repeat 5 and then type in the keyword times. So TIMES. And of course, this needs an end like any other control structure, such as an if or an else. Or just an if statement in general. Now we can put anything we want in here and it will repeat 5 times. So let's go ahead and say output. We're going to have it output hello 5 times. Alright, so let's go ahead and run it. And as you can see, we have hello 5 times in the run box. It's very interesting indeed how that works. So yeah, it pretty much did exactly what we expected it to. It repeated output hello 5 times. Pretty interesting loop, huh? Well, let's go ahead and delete that loop. And now we're going to define a variable. First, we're going to do an integer. We're going to call it counter. We're going to set it equal to 1. Alright, let's go ahead and we're going to go repeat until, and then we're going to say counter is equal to 20. Let's just put it as 20. Make sure you put an end at the end of that repeat until loop. Now inside here, what do we want to execute 20 times? Or what do we want to execute until the counter variable is equal to 20? Well, first of all, what we want to do is we want to, let's say we want it to output hello again. So output hello. And then now if we don't put another line inside of this, the loop is not going to run. or actually no, it will run. It'll just be an infinite loop because it'll keep evaluating a counter, and it'll always be equal to 0, so it's going to keep going infinitely. And infinite loops are something that you want to avoid at all costs, for the most part. However, if you're creating a game, for example, in, say, a different programming language other than Quorum, you will need an infinite loop for the game loop that will continuously run as the game progresses. So that is pretty much one of the only practical uses of a infinite loop. But with this, we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and do counter equals counter plus 1. And what that'll do is it'll essentially increment counter by 1 every time this runs. So it'll keep running until counter is equal to 20, and it'll say, okay, is counter's 21. Is 21 equal to 20? No, let's drop from the loop. So let's go ahead and run it and save it. And of course we get hello 20 times. However, I think it would be more useful if we were to tag on the counter variable to the output so we know exactly how many times it outputted. So if we save it and run it again, it goes hello 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So yeah, that is pretty much the repeat until loop. That's how you use that specific loop. It's very, very, it's very useful. So let's go ahead and get rid of all of that loop except for the repeat keyword. Go ahead and after that repeat keyword, we're going to go ahead and type while. This is essentially going to be the repeat while loop. Now, what do we want to test here? Well, repeat while counter is, let's say, less than 20, or less than or equal to 20. Alright. We're going to have it output hello, and we're going to tag on counter to it. Alright, so now, let's go ahead and do greater than or equal to 20, because then if it was less than or equal to 20, well, yeah, reasons. So essentially what we did is, this is not very much different than the repeat until. However, we want it to repeat while a certain condition is true. However, when we're doing the repeat until, we want it to repeat until a specific thing happens. Make sense? I think it does. So let's go ahead and save it and run it. You should see a build successful. Okay. Now, as you can see, it didn't run. It did run, but it didn't output anything. Why? Because we're doing while counter is greater than or equal to 20. That was a mistake on my part. My brain was not thinking logically again. But there we go. So repeat while counter is less than or equal to 20. Let's go ahead and save it again. Run it. And as you can see, it's gonna keep going. Why? Because I forgot to do one specific thing. However, what you're gonna want to do in case you do get an infinite loop by complete accident, this is a good example of what you do. In the NetBeans or SodBeans IDE, there is a bar that says your project name in parentheses run. Right next to the progress bar, there should be an X. Hit that X, it brings up a pop-up box. It says, "Are you sure you want to cancel the name of the task?" Go ahead and hit yes. That will end that task. So now, let's go ahead and add a line here. We're going to go counter equals counter plus 1. Let's go ahead and save it and run it again. So yeah, as you can tell, it works, and you know, it's actually pretty dang useful in these scenarios. So yeah, anyways guys, thank you all for watching, and we will see you all in the next one.